Spokane listens when business talks. Welcome to Business Talks, the region's only local business talk show with your host, Ryan McNeese. Business Talks is brought to you by our friends at STCU and Well Dressed Walrus. Now, let's get down to business with Business Talks.
Welcome to Business Talks. I'm Ryan McNeese, and we're here in the studio with Rachel and Drew Harding of Spokane Alpine Haus. Thank you guys for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Well, tough to schedule because you guys are a hot commodity. You guys have been out on the road doing trade shows, Portland, and where else have you been recently?
Well, we did Denver, was that last week?
Yep.
And then Copper Mountain followed that, so it's good to be home, though.
So not only are you out at trade shows, of course, looking at next season in terms of which products are going to be probably the best to have in the store, but you're also talking to industry leaders, industry participants, people using the gear. Because, like you said, Copper Mountain, you're actually with a lot of the folks using the gear.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we do. So typically a lot of people don't realize this, but when we purchase items for our store, we do it a year ahead of time. So we start really in typically the end of December, and then we get really serious about it in January because we don't have a ton of time in December, obviously, to be doing this.
It's the go time season.
Yeah.
And I do want to back up and say, I think what I was so excited to have you guys on the show is you purchased Spokane Alpine Haus, that is a familiar name in Spokane, but purchased it in 2015. And obviously the whole idea behind this show, Business Talks, is what are people doing out there that is something different? You guys taking the risk to own a business, start a business, and you know what? Sometimes the easiest part is actually buying the business, running the business, managing the business, figuring out products for next season. That's the tough step. But you guys, it actually seems very natural that you're in this business. Tell us a little bit about your respective backgrounds, because you both come to the table with a lot of experience in this field.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Rachel owned a Helly Hansen store. So we've been in the industry, in the retail industry for a while, and that's kind of where I got my start.
Helly Hansen as well.
Yeah, well, so Rachel owned the store and operated it, and I came on in 2010.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And now was that was the store in Boise?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I came over, I went to Bozeman, I went to Montana State,
Nice.
and I knew that I wanted to do something. I either wanted to have a coffee shop or I wanted to own a athletic store or do an outdoor store. And so I remember I used to go on runs and just be like, how am I going to do this? Like, what am I going to do? And I ended up tagging on. I did an internship with Helly Hansen when I was in college, and I tagged back onto the store in Bozeman and was there for about a year, graduated, and ended up having an opportunity to move to Boise. So I moved to Boise, and I ended up talking to my bosses at the time who were in Bozeman. I said, I want to open a Helly store. And so we did it.
Yeah.
I was 23 at the time, and I didn't even know what the heck I was doing.
School of hard knocks. You were just figuring it out.
Yeah.
But again, you're figuring out the business of it. But talk a little bit about your experience. Very exceptional skier yourself. So, but that talk a little bit about that, because that I think brings a huge amount of credibility to when you're selling a product. When somebody's saying, hey, what do you think about this? You're able to actually say, I either don't really like this particular product, or I really will stand behind this because I've used this type of thing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So I do come from a competitive background. I competed in freestyle skiing when I was in college. I at one point was ranked in the top 50 in the United States, which is pretty good.
That's huge.
My claim to fame, though, is that I think I had 3 different people from my on my team just at Bridger Bowl in Bozeman that are now Olympians. And
are they currently competing?
One of them is.
Which one is that?
Bradley Wilson.
Okay.
And his brother got the bronze medal at the last Olympics. And now he's going, and he was like 9 when he was on the team. And my friends and I, we would follow him around, and we were just like, okay, if a 9-year-old can go there, we can go there. Yeah, this is ridiculous. But he would go everywhere, and now he's an Olympian. So
well,
it's pretty
you
cool.
got to be excited about obviously here in February, or here now, we got the Winter Olympics coming up, which plays a part into what you guys do as a business. I personally have had the opportunity to go into Alpine Haus, and you guys do a great job. You guys personally do, because you make the experience very approachable, whether you're coming in as, not myself, if an expert skier or snowboarder is coming in, you guys obviously have the staff and yourselves the capability. Myself, just a regular enjoying going up to the mountain, you guys do a great job of kind of filling the need and answering the questions. So I personally certainly appreciated that. What are some of the challenges you've found? You go back to 2015, you have the experience of coming out of Boise and the respective Helly Hansen background. What were some of the initial challenges that you either knew were coming, but what were they, and how did you overcome those in your business?
I think the biggest one was, since the Helly Hansen store was just primarily, it was soft goods and basically apparel, clothes, jackets, and goggles and some accessory stuff like that. So we were adding a whole new aspect of the business to it, the full tune shop and
The skis and
the
snowboards.
skis and
Oh, okay.
snowboards. So
Yeah, I didn't realize that either.
Yeah, so there was a large learning curve there. I mean, the nice thing is there's a lot of training that goes into place. We meet with all the reps, and they give us clinics on all their individual products and tell us why they're the best, and then obviously we have to decipher through that and figure out what's right for the customer. But I think that was probably the biggest learning curve. And then also, we didn't know much of the history of the business. I mean, I didn't personally grow up shopping there in Spokane, and Rachel wasn't from Spokane, so I think...
But you were from Spokane.
Yes,
And had a lot of basketball background.
Yeah, I grew up skiing, and but once I kind of hit middle school, I started playing a lot of competitive basketball and traveling and tournaments, and so coaches usually frowned upon winter activities and getting hurt in the middle of the season.
They always think, if I'm going to put this much time and effort into you, resources-wise, don't go get hurt.
Yeah, absolutely.
But so you hadn't grown up necessarily familiar with Alpine Haus, but once you came on board, you're an owner. You're responsible for everything.
Yep.
Here we are. It's 8 in the morning. You open the doors or what have you.
Yep.
Yeah. What are some of those real challenges?
Well, it was interesting. So we found out about the business on October 22nd. We got a call from one of the investors. There were actually several investors in the business, and the business had taken some hardships previous to us, and so we didn't know anything about it. He basically called and just said, "Hey, I'd love to pick your brain." And by the end of the conversation, I said, "Are you trying to pick my brain
or sell me?" Yeah,
sell a business? And he said, we want to sell." And so he said, go take a look at the store, go see what's going on. And we went there, and we still have an employee now, Fred Noland. Everyone knows Fred Noland. He has been in the industry for, I think, since like 1984 or something like that. I mean, a long time. The best ski tech in the industry. And he was running that place, and he was running it by himself.
So although there
at
were
that
investors, he was probably the boots on the ground.
Correct. They were silent investors,
Okay.
yeah. So, yeah, he was keeping the doors open, and so we met him and basically looked at the business as a whole. But our biggest fear was it was October 22nd, and having been in the outdoor industry, you're in your season at that point. And so we knew it was go time or it's not going to happen.
A true hit the ground running.
Yeah, so I probably think the craziest thing that we've ever done is we bought it within 2 weeks.
Did you really?
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing that our investors did that was just awesome is he handed us the keys one night, and he said, "Take the keys and just go.
Just go look around.
Go, yeah, we're not going to be around you. Just go check out the store." And we went there, and we walked around for probably a few hours, and we just looked at everything. We looked at the bones of the store, and we kind of looked at each other, and we said,
because there are a couple levels, right? I mean,
there's 2 floors. Yeah. all the apparel, everything that we sell is
upstairs.
Upstairs, and then we do our rentals and our leases down in the basement, and then our full ski tune shop and snowboard shop is downstairs. Yeah, and all our extras of things.
Right.
So yeah, we sat down and we kind of looked at each other and we said, "Let's do it. Let's go for it."
I think that's the whole point of I think why I was interested in talking to you guys is that's the exciting part about business, because I mean there's all the cliches out there of like, oh, we should look at a business plan and what's your pro forma statements for the future, and all of that is important, and you can read every MBA book you want, all that, but at the very beginning you do need to pull the trigger, jump over that line and say, we've walked around, we're going to do this. 2 weeks in, we're going to do this. I mean, that's the scary part, and you're making it work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the only reason that we jumped in was because we did have some experience, and we knew that it was now or never. If you waited another 2 or 3 weeks, we would have missed the entire winter, and it would have been...
That's a good point. Whether the investors would have moved on would have been one piece, but you're absolutely right in terms of potential buyer for you guys to make it work, to try to come in on the back end of a season like you would be now, trade shows, etc. And I think you described really well, Rachel, the concept that you're actually buying a year in advance. That's interesting. That's an interesting concept.
Yeah. And that was actually one of the challenges too.
Yeah.
So when we took it over, it's November and you have no buys because there were no buys at that point done for the store. So year one, and especially the first few months, was, I mean, we just jumped on all of our vendors and people that we're trying to bring in and
establish those relationships.
Yeah. And we have to say super kudos to our reps, because there were some that just came in and helped us and guided us. They would come work in the store.
Really?
Well, yeah, they would come in. I mean, it basically was Drew, me, and Fred.
Fred, 1984 Fred.
Yeah, I can't even imagine that now. I mean, we need way more staff than that. And so at the time, we're rebuilding relationships from the previous ownership. People coming in and they wanted to know who we are and what our story was.
And that makes sense. The vendors and reps, if you will, are saying, I want to know who I can establish this new relationship with.
Well, them and customers. I mean, everyone. What was crazy to us, we didn't realize the following of the Spokane Alpine House initially. The business has been around 41 years. It was started by Vince Zimmer. He did an amazing job building that store. And he had it for 35 years. And he, so there was just this huge following. And so people started coming in, and Drew and I would joke. We were like, well, we've been interviewed 35 times today, because people would come in and go, who are you? What's your story?
Yeah, like,
what are you going to do?
Here we go. I got to throw out the elevator speach.
Yep.
Yeah. And our biggest thing was we were like, we promise to give you the best that we can of ourselves. And it was super hard. I'm not going to lie. I probably cried a lot in the.
But I appreciate you sharing that, because I think that's real. I think that is real business ownership. I think some people think, oh, so-and-so owns a business or this, that. Oh, it just all must be great. That's just not true. There are great opportunities, good times, but the reality is there's a lot of hard knocks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we definitely went back and forth a few times after. We're like, what did we get ourselves into?
Oh my gosh, did we do this? Let's take a quick break and come right back and chat about Spokane Alpine House.
Hi, this is Kurt Stockwell with Well Dressed Walrus. We are a local website design and development company here in Spokane. What we do is build beautiful, usable websites for local businesses. A website needs to be beautiful, it needs to be usable for your users, your customers, and yourself. Contact us anytime. We'd love to talk with you about your online marketing.
The economy is getting stronger, banks are lending again, and interest rates are at historic lows. Now is a great time to buy your dream home. The caring and knowledgeable professionals at Homes for You have been helping people just like you for over 20 years. They take the time to listen to what you want and will help you find just the right home in Washington or Idaho. Real estate is what we do at Homes for You, 928-5782, or visit online at homes4uspokane.com.
Welcome back to Business Talks. I'm Ryan McNeese, and I'm here in the studio with Drew and Rachel of Spokane Alpine House. Right before the break, we were talking about the real nature, the reality of business, which is there's some really high highs and sometimes there can be some low lows. I think as business owners, you're shooting to try to balance that out. But you'd indicated, Rachel, in those early days, there were times where you're thinking, should we have done this? How did you overcome those days, those times? What do you do mentally? What do you do practically?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the biggest, I'd probably say the overall thing, it was the long hours. The long hours just drained you. And we actually lived in Coeur d'Alene at the time, too. So we would
You were
commit
driving all the
to,
way
yeah,
over?
we would commit to coming in, and we'd get in at 8:30 and we'd leave at 11 p.m. at night. And that was consistent.
Wow.
It was for a while. It was pretty crazy.
And at that particular time, was Fred still there, still
Yes.
participating? And you have more staff now.
Yes.
Was that a part of the equation that, in terms of knowing how stretched you guys can be from 8 in the morning till 11 at night, did you try to lessen the load, if you will, by having ample staffing?
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, the first year was tough because we really wanted to learn the business, and we didn't feel like it was fair to bring in a new employee but not have a full understanding of how to train that employee so they could be effective. So I think we took we took the brunt of most of it that first year, and we did have one other employee who he had worked for the store previously and worked for the Forest Service during the summer, so he ended up coming back to us, but I don't think it was until like late December. So we did get a little bit of help there, but it was still
Yeah, but you're still
open.
talking October, November, December.
Yeah, it was still open to close every day, and then shipments would come in during the day, so you'd put them out that evening after you closed.
And aren't those the days, though, where you're busy enough as it is and you look out and you probably saw those shipments come in, you're like, ugh, more inventory. This is good. This is part of our business.
Yeah.
This is what we need, but more work.
Oh yeah, it was just, we just had to compartmentalize things and
Yeah.
go, okay,
What's important today?
yeah, working with customers, and then when there was time, as we could. I mean, it that first year, it would sometimes take us a week to get product out. I remember our Oakley rep came. He was sicker than a dog, and he came in and he saw all the shipment of his just sitting there,
In a
and we're
box.
like, we can't get it out.
You're
You know,
like,
there's
"You know
just not
what? Feel
time.
free if you want to go grab that
Oh,
box
he
and
did.
put it-
He not only, he sat in the corner and he untagged box, did all of that, and then he sold a few items while he was at it, which
That's actually
we were
funny.
just so thankful. And again, that's what a lot of reps did. But
Yeah.
you asked earlier kind of what got us through the hurdle, and I think what was the most exciting thing was the customers. So they would come in and they would they'd be curious who we were. And then they would just be completely positive and just, wow, we're really impressed. We're coming back.
Yeah.
And there was so much positive feedback.
It kept you going.
It not only kept us going, I think it just made us really excited. And we were just surprised by how many customers there were and how many people wanted to come and bring that store business.
Yeah.
So,
Well, they're probably expressing and seeing in your actions how much you're wanting to do this and the risks you're taking. And I think people feed off of that. They're realizing you're doing something that they may want to do, can't quite do, have done. They're somewhere in that trajectory too. So they're probably impressed with the fact that you're giving it a go.
yeah. Well, and we absolutely love it too. I mean, we live the sports that we sell. I mean, we do ski and snowboard in the winter. And we're passionate about it. We
Right.
love it. We get out there and when we ski hard, and
Yeah.
we're exhausted a lot of times.
Right.
And I mean, this last Sunday we were tired, and we're like, nope, we're going skiing.
We're doing
Well,
that would kind of perfect segue into what I was going to ask is what are the techniques or how do you market your business? What early on in your business now, a couple of years in, you're definitely going to the hills around our area and otherwise, and you're seeing what's going on. You're seeing other products that are out there, either somebody's wearing, using, etc. Might be something you guys are selling or not. Is that how you originally kind of, hey, we should look into such and such product? I'm seeing somebody on the hill utilizing that. How do you market or decide what to market?
I mean, that's tough. I mean, our kind of thoughts on like an overall store, like for marketing our stores, is events in the community. I mean, Spokane seems to have a pretty tight knit community,
Right.
and
I'd agree with
in
that.
the different events that people like to partake in. So by partnering with with local publications, local programs. I mean, we do a lot for the Spokane Ski Race Association, and I mean, anything to get like kids involved. So like, we've spent a lot of time advertising and working to get kids in a season lease program. So
yeah, tell us a little bit about that. I have young kids, and so I know whether it be my own kids or kids on the hill, where there's kids, there's parents spending money as well. And so how does that lease program work?
So the lease program is awesome. It's $149 for the year, and they get, whether it's skis, boots, bindings for the year, or if it's a snowboard package. But basically they rent it in the fall and use it all year, and then bring it back to us in April. And it's a pretty neat process, because a lot of these kids, this is their first experience with skis or snowboards, so you want to take the time to make sure
it's
the fit's right, and they're comfortable and they're happy, and
that their boots fit. That's an important one for the kids.
And you just get them excited about it. So,
which again, that's got to be satisfying, reassuring for you. Dollars and cents wise, though, right off the bat, that sounds extremely reasonable. As we all know, you know better than anybody else. I mean, you can go spend several $1,000s, easy $1,000 on kids' skis, boots, etc. And given the fact that each year, most likely, they are changing boot size, ski size, etc., that actually sounds logical to do that program.
Oh, absolutely. And we take big pride in it. So, I mean, we're constantly adding new gear and everything. And we know skiing is it's an expense. It's not cheap, and especially when you look at lift tickets and the drive and food and everything once you get up there. So,
we also do a buyback program at our store. So there's two options really. You can lease out everything
just
for the year. Just rent it. You have it for the year. It stays in your garage. You don't have to come in and rent it, all the time. We typically tell people if you're going to go 3 or more times, it's just worth it.
I would agree.
So the lease is great, but then we have another option where we actually have a buyback program. So you can buy new, and typically, kid stuff isn't as expensive as adult stuff. You can get away with really being anywhere from about $350 to about $600 on junior stuff for a full package.
Right.
Skis, boots, bindings. Yep. And the cool thing is you can ski it for up to 2 full seasons, and you can bring it back, and we'll give you 50% back toward new product. So
that's actually really good.
It actually ends up, I mean, we've kind of done the math on it, and it's about the same as a lease, but your stuff is new, but it's a higher upfront cost.
Yeah, but actually I think I like the way you're analyzing that, because it's giving parents and kids the opportunity to kind of decide where do they place that value. Do you want the newer stuff and you're keeping it in your garage and you're not bringing it back, as you said, or do you just want to flat rent it and bring it back? Hey, I don't know if these kids are going to do it next year. Who knows? But I like the options.
Yeah.
Are you finding that folks are, as a percentage, gravitating these days more towards the boarding, more towards the skiing? Maybe it's too hard a question in terms of demographics and age. And
no, not at all. It's like,
what do you think? Because I've tried both. Obviously, I've talked to you guys about it. I got the powder skis, and now I got the snowboard, and then I'll get skiers telling me, why are you snowboarding? That's how I do both. Anyway, but what do you see out there? Because it's a culture, one or the other.
I would say there's probably more people skiing. We have been growing our snowboard selection at the store, so we've definitely seen an increase of snowboarders coming through the doors over the last 3 winters. I would say more people start their kids off skiing, though. So you'll see a larger influx of parents, even if they snowboard, they get their kids into skiing. I think it's a more natural way to learn how to slide on snow.
Be up on the hill, yeah,
exactly.
I would agree with that.
And then they may transition once they get a little bit older. But
are you guys primarily skiers? Obviously, your background in freestyle, but do you snowboard at all, or primarily ski?
I can get down, kinda
on a snowboard.
On a snowboard,
okay.
But I'm definitely
and
a
you're
skier.
a skier.
I'm a skier. There was a stint in like junior high school where I snowboarded for a couple of years, and
probably had some friends doing it.
Yeah,
I should try it.
Exactly. It was one of those things that everyone was doing it, so it was kind of the new rage.
Yeah.
So try it out for a little while, but I realized I couldn't keep up with all those guys, so I had to go back to skiing.
It's a tough call because I thoroughly enjoy them both. I mean, it kind of depends on the type of snow, but the type of riding on a board versus skiing, it's a different sensation. They're both great.
Oh, absolutely.
The cool thing about snowboarding is they really paved the way for new ski technology.
I agree.
It's really cool when you actually look at it. So, 15, 20 years ago, snowboarding got huge.
Mm-hmm.
And it got so big because it was a wider surface area. You really had that floaty feel. I mean, definitely had the cool aspect to it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it did. Cool factor. But you're right. That's, I guess, what I'm talking about. That maybe these cheesy words, but the glide, if you will.
Yeah.
Or the, what was the word you just used? The way it...
The float.
Yeah, the float. There's really something to that on the powder, which is why it seems like the fatty rocker type skis now maybe came from the snowboarding world.
We have customers all the time that come in. They're like, I've been out of the ski industry for about 10 years. I want to get back into it. And they're like, wow, they've gotten shorter and fatter. And we're like, they have.
Oh, gosh. Do you remember the good old days? Your skis were a mile high and thin. And you're right. When people realize, oh, my gosh, these are totally different, they feel like they're way out in front of the skis and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But, well, very exciting what you guys have accomplished and what you're endeavoring to accomplish. So I appreciate you guys making time out of your busy schedule to come do this. I would definitely let anybody know my personal experience at Spokane Alpine Haus. You guys are doing a great job, not only yourselves, but with your staff. And if you get an opportunity, go check them out. What's the best way for folks, other than just coming in the store, to find out information about you guys?
Either on our website, which is the SpokaneAlpineHouse.com, or our Facebook page, or if you're interested in knowing kind of events or sales or anything that's going on, you can always call us or come into the store and get set up on our emailer list that we send out. So we'll kind of let you know the happenings of what's up and coming, what's going on, if there's going to be demos or if there's any fun events coming up
that people can engage and participate with you.
Absolutely.
Thank you both. Thanks so
Yeah.
much.
Hey, thank you,
Appreciate
Ryan.
it.
Thanks so much for having us.
this
Yeah.
is
Go
awesome.
check them out.
Business Talks is produced in Spokane, Washington by SpokaneTalksOnline.com, which is solely responsible for its content. Ask a question, recommend a guest, and hear this program again online anytime at SpokaneTalksOnline.com. Business Talks is brought to you by our friends at STCU and Well Dressed Walrus. Business Talks wishes you good business and a good day.